So it's about that time again where we're going to be doing a talking head video, but this time we're going to be talking about, if you haven't already noticed, about the worldwide chat being disabled in War Thunder. Now, I wish I was doing this under better circumstances, but this is something that has to be really said, and I haven't really been able to find too much information relating to this by either other creators or more official sources. Now, if you guys didn't already know, and I know this is going to be a very obvious one, I am a War Thunder partner, which means that I do get a ton of information that you guys wouldn't otherwise get. But in this case, this is something that even with my direct contacts and lines of contact with those, at least the power at B, even then or there, I cannot find any bit of information as to why this is currently the way it is. So I'm going to be using my own personal experience from playing this game for about 7 years now, and take some educated guesses as well as using some official information and trying to piece it all together to try to paint a bigger picture as to why the entirety of the chat has been disabled in War Thunder. Now, this applies to in-game, private messaging, squad chat, and just even everywhere for that matter. There is nothing you can do to communicate to any player in any regards out, at least inside the game. Now, of course, I'm very fortunate enough to have most of my good friends in Discord with me, so we can still communicate there, and people are able to still talk and have a good time for the most part. But when it comes to the inside of the game, where you play with a very randomized set of players, that is where a lot of the problem really comes about. Now, some of the biggest problems you will notice is in simulator battles. Trust me, Sim right now must be having a really hard time, because that is where you need to use most of your communication, seeing that the game really requires it, pointing out helicopters, your location, where you're going to go where and who and what, right? So most of the command menu can really get away with that, such as this is my position, I need help, so on and so forth. But it doesn't really help when it comes to just more clean, direct conversations, communications, because think about this. There's an enemy helicopter. You're not going to be spamming a certain position on the map to try to get a helicopter, because no one is going to know. And in truth, not a lot of people like to read the chat when I spam out, hey, there's a helicopter up, you might want to pay attention to it. No one will listen to me. But let's go ahead and knock out the big elephant in the room. Now, all of this was brought about for, or at least by, one exact reason, which is the Russian-Ukraine conflict currently happening as of the time of this video's recording. I'm saying it like that because I really hope this ends very soon and peace and safety can resume amongst the entirety of the world, because, man, this is chaotic. Trust me, it's affecting me at home a lot more than you guys would otherwise think, but I'm going to keep a lot of my own personal opinions very much private, seeing that as a creator, I am in no position to influence you guys with my own opinions, seeing that I'm no one in that regards. But we'll get more into that probably in a different type of post or in a different video if you guys would like to hear more about it. But that all being said, the only official information I was able to kind of piece together is the fact that Gaijin did make out a post that said, "Dear War Thunder players, you've noticed we've scaled back on our social media activity," and so on and so forth, right? And they do pray for peace and safety, which has caused quite a bit of spur when it comes to the lack of dev blogs. I mean, trust me, as a creator myself, we kind of live off this stuff, okay? We live off the new information. I mean, take an individual like the European Canadian. He's a good example. He's a very informational type of guy. If he doesn't really get all his content dropped, at least in kind of ready fashion, early fashion, the man's going to lose quite a bit of content. Now, he's doing very fine, thankfully. And when it comes to like the dev server stuff, top tier vehicles, etc., that's where I like to specialize in. So by this update being delayed, one would even say indefinitely, it does affect a lot of my personal time as well as my channel, which means that you guys are going to be having a hard time getting brand new content, which ultimately is not exactly a good thing for my channel to not have. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Now, on to the part that I kind of pieced together when it comes to the actual chat reason, or the reasoning as to why it's no longer in the game. Now, I've been playing War Thunder for the last 7 years. And I understand one thing. War Thunder is a competitive game, meaning that it's all ranked, right? We all go in here and we try to win. We try to get that W, drop that nuke. We try to get multiple kills. And then there is a leaderboard system in the game which tells you, your positioning as a player, win rate, loss rate, KD, and so on and so forth. Not that I'm one who really cares much for it, to be honest, but I know there are many who do. So, seeing that this is a competitive game, you should know that when it comes to being competitive, there is a very unsavory side of the community when it comes to that matter. There are those who are, at least from my experience, incredibly toxic. You'll find people just randomly team killing for whatever reason. those throwing out racial or otherwise offensive slurs in the chat itself. Now, yes, the personal ban or the blacklist is available, which I have used quite extensively, unfortunately. It is there, but unfortunately, Gaijin has seen this to be way too much of an issue, so they opted to remove the entirety of the chat. And let's be honest here, those who are pro-Ukrainian, pro-Russian, they like to go at it, and they were going at it pretty hard, pretty much on the first day, and even a couple of weeks before the whole conflict began, which led to just a massive influx of general in-game toxicity. And that's not exactly something you want to deal with. And they kind of had to cut some losses somewhere and try to save a little bit of face because, come on, let's be honest here. Russian bias. I know Wargaming and Battlestate are probably having a bit of a hard time too, but they're handling it in their own ways. So, not that I agree with the fact that they did remove the chat as a way to kind of save face, but it does make a little bit of sense because the general toxicity was incredibly massive for a little while. Now, as a creator, I'm no stranger to this kind of stuff. When I said I use that blacklist quite extensively, or I've used it, I mean what I said. I've blacklisted quite a few people because they generally like to be very toxic towards me, and I generally don't want to hear that kind of stuff. You guys have seen me in previous videos where I have the chat entirely disabled because some people, just for whatever reason, like to be very much an asshat towards me. I have no idea why personally. I tend to never really talk to anybody in terms of in a good or a bad way, mostly in a good way, but never in a bad way. It's kind of weird, right? And it kind of coincides with the fact that this is a quote-unquote competitive game. But I digress. Now, is this something I entirely agree with? Absolutely not. This takes away probably one of the core mechanics of the game itself, which is having good conversation, making brand new friends, GG, easy win if that's your thing, or just kind of communicating with your teammates to try to get that W, because that is ultimately what we try to get during the end of the game. I hope that made sense too. It's a little past midnight, guys, so bear with me. There are some other rumors as to why Gaijin decided to remove that. I won't get into detail about that because, one, it doesn't make too much sense to me as a person myself, and, as a creator, etc. And if you guys want to talk more about that, you guys can talk about that amongst yourselves in your private manner. Try not to bring in the comment sections because I know a ton of you are going to be doing that exactly. And one more thing I did forget to mention is just because I am a partnered creator with War Thunder doesn't mean I get all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Now, I do get a lot of information behind some of the scenes, but not to the extent that you guys could well imagine, even as, someone who has a decal in the game and is under contract as well. That's right. As a creator myself, we are under contract, but there's no NDA tied to it, which is really nice, aside from what we choose to tell you and choose not to tell you, if that makes sense. So don't go asking in the comment section, hey, do you know the actual reason, blah, blah, blah. I can almost guarantee you that unless you're in the actual offices of Gaijin, you're probably not going to have any information more than what I would probably have, but then again, I could be entirely wrong. And so that's honestly really it. I don't really know what to expect at this point. I have no idea when the devlogs will be returning. I have no idea when the next update, dev server, anything for that matter, is going to drop. And I really hope to get this information very soon, seeing that as a creator myself, my channel kind of depends on it. just a little bit, okay? So yeah, that's really it. I hope this kind of clarified some things or some reasoning as to why Gaijin decided to do this. Again, all this information is not official, okay? Outside of what I've already posted with the War Thunder social media stuff, there is nothing else I can really go off of outside of my own personal experience. And I hope I didn't really step on anyone's toes about this, guys. I understand this is a very, very sensitive subject at hand, but I figured, you know what? Since no one else wants to do it, I went ahead, did my own personal research, and kind of came out with this. There wasn't much to look into, to be honest. It was more from my own personal experience from playing this game for just about 7 years now. Oh boy, think about that. 7 years, 2015. Yikes. But it's okay. I love this game, guys, and you know that. So one last thing I want to go ahead and kind of plug in is not my decal stuff, I promise, is more to those who are affected by this conflict with Russia and Ukraine. I wish you guys a healthy, strong life. Please stay safe. Don't run any unnecessary risks, and let's hope that this conflict comes to a very clean end. Although it's not going to be very clean, unfortunately. I really hope it comes to a very good end where both sides get to walk away with their faces, I guess. So that being said, I hope this clarifies everything. If you guys want to discuss a little bit further, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. I will do my best to conversate with you guys, to give my own 2 cents. And all I ask from you is please remain civil. Be kind, be courteous, have a good time, and just be educational, be very forward as I like to be. And I just want you guys to understand one more thing too, is that we are all players. We're all individuals who enjoy War Thunder for whatever little reason. It could be for modern vehicles, aircraft, naval, helicopters. It doesn't matter. As long as you have fun in this game, there's no reason why you should be so direct, as well as attack other players, because they are trying to do the exact same thing you are, which is having a good time in War Thunder. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy everything. Feel free to let me know exactly what you guys think. I won't plug anything in there because this is not appropriate. The only monetization I plan to do on this channel is the regular ad stuff that I have on YouTube. So with that being said, thank you so much for hearing this out, and I'll see you guys not only in the next game or even in streams or anything for that matter. Oh, I can't even English right now, guys. It's so late for me. Let's just say have a good night, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.